Yes, I'm also recording now. Hello everyone, dearest valuable participants and TWRE members. Today we are meeting for the 17th time to make a green call. My name is Sedef Budak. I am an executive investment engineer working in wind and solar energy sector over 13 years now. I have founded and now president of Turkish Women in Renewables and Energy platform. Within 2 years, we approached more than 1,100 members. We recognized by UN Women. We have the global support from the Wind Energy Council, Global Women's Network for Energy Transition, and German Energy Agency. We are also a sister association of AVEAP, which Bertha is established. And we also become a member partner of IEEE's Women in Power division for a few months ago. So today I am very happy to announce you my sister from Africa, Bertha Dlamini, and also she is a collaborator of mine. We have met with her last year in Istanbul during the ICCI International Energy Fair and Congress. We made together quite strong session. And yes, welcome Bertha. Thank you for accepting our invitation, first of all.
Thank you, Sedef. Thank you.
One last word about you. Bertha is a social entrepreneur, and yes, as I told, she is the founder and president of African Women in Electricity and Power Association. And she has also very long and strong experience in the energy field herself. So, how are you, and how are your quarantine days going?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to join the webinar. It's always great to do work with you. I enjoy our complementary mission, which is to empower women to access opportunities in the energy sector. I am doing well. South Africa is managing with COVID-19, and we are still under very stringent restrictions. So everybody is trying very hard to comply. Yeah. So I'm very excited to share the story of empowering women in energy with those who have joined the call or the webinar today. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I would like to share a presentation.
Yes, please. Uh-huh. Yes.
So I'm going to share with you the story of the establishment of African women in energy and power. I'm going to share with you a personal journey, and I'm going to share with you a business journey so that you can see where we came from and what we are trying to achieve. So a little bit of a story about who I am. I started my career in marketing communications back in 1997. Mm-hmm. And I am also a certified ProSci change management practitioner, and currently completing my executive MBA with the University of Cape Town. Mm-hmm. I have 2 beautiful dogs that you can see that follow me everywhere. They're also my study mates. In 2006, I founded a consulting company called Rito Consulting Services, mm-hmm. which delivered marketing communication solutions for clients in different sectors in South Africa. So we covered banking, we covered education, we covered the energy sector, we covered the property sector. We were a typical marketing communications firm. We did so well that a local large engineering consulting firm at the time in 2012 approached me to partner with them as they were looking for a female partner to diversify their executive team and to introduce new perspectives in how they did business. And that gave me the introduction into the energy space in Southern Africa. I sold 50% of my company to Eon Consulting and became a partner.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting transition, and this story for me is very personal because it talks to how non-engineers, people who are not trained as engineers, can gain entry into a technical space.
Yes.
For 6 years, I invested time to learn everything I could learn about the energy value chain, from generation, transmission to distribution, including all forms of renewable energy.
Mm-hmm.
And every experience was a gift. I was determined to understand the energy sector because I soon learned that without energy, our communities in the continent cannot improve. Without energy, our economies cannot improve. And so there were many times where I asked the most basic questions in my quest to learn and understand the energy sector. There were many embarrassing questions that I asked, but I worked with a team of absolutely excellent engineers and consultants who were patient and understanding to take me through the ropes. 6 years later, and during my growth in the energy space, I started participating in different events, giving thought leadership around electricity utility performance. I also got to work with the Southern African Power Pool, which gave me a full understanding of the grid, the connectedness of the grid in Southern Africa.
Yes, yes.
This was also at the time when the Sustainable Development Goals were established in 2015, if you remember. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was sitting on the advisory boards of Power Gen Africa, African Utility Week, Power and Electricity World Africa Show, and the Association of Municipal Electricity Utilities. Giving input into what content the industry in Africa should receive from multiple experts around the globe. We realized that 600 million people had no access to electricity in Africa. And so for Africa to improve and African lives to improve, we needed to start looking at electrification solutions that would accelerate the rate at which people in Africa accessed electricity.
So you are not only talking about your own country, South Africa, you are talking about all around Africa, all the countries.
All countries. So the continent of Africa has got 54 countries and about just under 1.3 billion people. Yes. 600 million of those people do not have access to electricity.
Yes.
That is a large percentage.
Yes, this is a lot. Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a large percentage of the population. And so I realized as I was working with different stakeholders and also meeting a lot of companies that were coming from all over the world into the conferences where I sat on the advisory board, that there is a gap for women and youth participation in the energy sector. Yes. And so the first initiative that I founded was called Gen X Theatre Africa. What happened is, as you plan content for a conference, you receive a lot of papers from students and from corporates. And we were rejecting a lot of youth submitted papers because their concept had not been commercialized. So I founded Gen X Africa, a theater on the exhibition floor of energy conferences where young people can present abstracts of their academic papers. And so you can see that we gave a lot of young people opportunities to present concepts of abstracts of their academic papers to an international audience of participants.
Oh, there are familiar faces in this picture. Feraye is there, yes.
Yes, Feraye is there, and she played a very important role in introducing me to stakeholders in the Turkish energy market.
Yes, definitely.
And so you can see how vibrant some of these presentations were, with our young stars presenting papers, academic papers on solutions in energy that they had written.
Yes.
And this was one of the ways to introduce them into the energy sector.
They done the same in Turkey, and it was really, really motivating for all young people. It was really, really good project, Bertha.
Absolutely, and that concept came from our South African concept, right? And we took a number of our South African youth to the European Utility Week in 2018. And you can see one of our stars presenting her views on how Africa can accelerate electrification. And so that gave me personally an opportunity to think about women participation as well.
Yes.
And so I thought, what is happening in Africa? What is happening in the energy sector? And it dawned on me that as people, we never question how we get the products that we use on a daily basis. So we never talk about value chains. Right now, we're probably sitting on tables, on chairs, using our laptops to connect across the world. Very few people can confidently talk about the value chain of the production of a laptop and who owns those value chains, right?
Yes,
And so we started questioning the energy sector, and we realized Africa is facing a huge electricity demand. The existing infrastructure on the continent is not sufficient to meet the current requirements of the continent's economic growth and the growth that we are going to face for the coming decades. I have mentioned that 600 million people have no access to electricity. A lot of them are in remote rural areas that do not access the formal grid.
Yes.
And there are a lot of barriers for new participants to come into the market.
And electric brings the education, brings the other services. So it's not only to sitting in the dark. It is related to affecting many things, many welfare, education, health, and safety, and blah blah. So that's a crucial need of any human being. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I realized that there is a huge scope, that offers opportunities for youth and women entrepreneurs to participate in the energy space. Also realizing that a lot of the African continent's energy market is dominated by multinationals and very few local players. And we needed to change the face of the electricity service solutions, systems, and products provider on the continent so we can expand the opportunity for women and youth to participate in the sector.
Yes.
Africa offers vast opportunities as it develops. Around 90% of the continent's economically feasible hydropower is currently untapped, unexploited, which gives opportunities, right? There are studies that says that the installed power capacity is expected to rise from 90 gigawatts that was in 2012 to about 380 gigawatts in 2040 on the continent. For us to get to that point of capacity, there's a lot of opportunities for women to participate.
Exactly.
Also, there were studies coming out where policymakers have expressed an increasing interest in expanding the energy access through women's entrepreneurship. Engaging women at all levels of clean energy value chain is thought to be one of the areas to empower women economically, but also to have a very positive outcome to business in general. Studies show that when there is access to electricity, there was an increase of about 29% in women entrepreneurship as soon as they brought solar mini grids in communities.
In general, in South Africa, do you have any initiative and promotion packages for the women entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter it's only for energy, but in general, I mean, like the business packages to empower women, to motivate women, designed by the bank or maybe government.
Yes, there is a policy, there are policies in place. We've got the broad-based Black economic empowerment policy that determines that 30% of procurement should be dedicated to women, youth, and people living with disability. And women-owned enterprises are looked at positively by the finance sector and by the public sector's procurement machinery. So there is definitely support available for women entrepreneurs. We just need to accelerate the penetration of women participation in specific sectors.
Yes.
So when you look at energy, it's typically a very male-dominated technical sector.
Yes.
And this is not only for South Africa, it is true for the world in its entirety.
Yes, yes.
Right? And so in my quest to understand women entrepreneurship on the continent, I looked at, I did a literature review, because there are a lot of studies that are conducted in different regions in the world that seeks to confirm the business case for women participation in economy. And I found in the studies that there is a lot of women dominate the entrepreneurship space in Africa. Most of them are small to medium-sized enterprises. In Uganda, 48% of SMMEs are owned by women. In Kenya, 49%.
Wow, very nice figures. Very nice figures, yeah.
Yeah, in Nigeria and Ghana, female entrepreneurs exceed that of men. And a World Bank study recorded in 2014 says that the world's fastest growth in women entrepreneurs will be in Africa. And so there was a proven case that women have the appetite, the resilience, and the fortitude to participate as entrepreneurs in the energy space. And so we looked at the energy sector and said, where will these opportunities come from? And we recognize that there is indeed an energy revolution that is happening in Africa, where off-grid and mini-grid power generation will no longer be short-term fixes, but will rather become permanent as electrification progresses. But there are new and cheaper technologies, especially in the renewable energy sector, coupled with affordable energy storage that are driving this revolution. And the sector itself is going through a deregulation phase, and in some areas, there is unbundling and privatization of traditional value chains, which presents even more opportunities for non-traditional players in the sector. The introduction and the integration of renewable energy into the mix presents even more opportunities for accelerated access to energy. Also, the continent is going into regional integration, which is cross-border trading, and that will enable the continent's economy to develop at a much faster rate, right? And therefore, this access to energy is absolutely critical for the continent to become competitive, right?
Yes, yes.
And I looked further at the state of now. I had an understanding of the state of women participation in economy, women entrepreneurs. It was proven that there were more women entrepreneurs on the continent than the world cared to pay attention to. So I then said, let's focus on energy, on the energy sector specifically. And we realized that a lot of women are still participating as entrepreneurs in the electricity sector. Sometimes when we speak about energy, it's confused with oil, minerals. We're speaking here specifically on electrification. And so we realized that women are participating in in the informal sector, in providing services which rely on caloric energy, so for cooking, for pottery, for making clothes, agro-processing, solutions focusing on the use of biomass, which is in contradiction, obviously, with clean energy goals. And a lot of women made up almost more than 50% of the solar home system buyers in developing countries. And so we could see that in the energy sector, women were still limited to the periphery of the sector, not to the main value chains of energy. And there weren't enough policies that enable women to participate. There was still poor representation of women in the energy sector, in the workforce, in policy making, and in leadership roles. And there was very little innovation that had been recorded, or sophisticated solutions that were recorded in the power sector that were run or operated by women entrepreneurs. Right?
Yes.
And there were reasons for that. Women suffered from poor access to finance, lack of market exposure, lack of tangible assets or collateral for large-scale financial instruments for energy projects. In some countries, there were legal constraints for women to participate, socio-cultural constraints and inter-role conflicts juggling the domestic responsibility and the professional roles. In some countries on the continent, there was lack of legal parity between men and women when it comes to inheritance laws, laws that govern their ability to register and run businesses, and their ability to work, and laws that regulate land and property ownership. And so these were the barriers that we wanted to tackle.
Yes.
So what was a personal mission became a movement to look at how we can change this condition. And we understood that women and youth empowerment is an economic imperative. It's not a corporate social responsibility. It's an economic imperative. When you have women and youth participating in the economy, you increase the labor capacity of a country's economy, making that country more competitive and sustainable, increasing tax revenue generation from the economic activity of youth and women, which can be reinvested into other socioeconomic development.
Yes.
When the government has got more tax, they can invest in infrastructure, they can invest in social solutions that are required to sustain that country's development and future. Securing the future of the country and its citizens, increasing participation within the country's education ecosystem, which expands the quality and competitiveness of the labor market, which results in more productive sectors. This leads to more homegrown innovations. So instead of importing innovation into the continent, when you have a strong labor capability within African countries can create their own innovations for their own markets.
Yes, sure.
It then sets the country on a strong foundation for economic competitiveness and strength, which is so important because it builds the country's capability and capacity to deal with unpredictable catastrophes, such as what we are facing, like COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, you cannot develop anything, any sector or the economy by ignoring the real power, the women and the young sitting at home. You should put them in charge, get involved as much as possible. I totally agree. That is what makes a country stronger. I totally agree.
Absolutely. And so this also firmed up our business case to establish AWIP. We then targeted 22 countries on the continent, based on language, we're still trading very much in English. So we cover most of East Africa, 2 countries in West Africa and Southern Africa. The question we wanted to ask, or we wanted to answer, is how do we build an international program that will give African women entrepreneurs in energy and power access to market information, access to credible networks in the energy sector, access to skills development, access to market, which is access to opportunities, and access to finance. So we established 4 pillars to our WIP. Number 1, if you look at my cursor there, is we go into each country that we target to mobilize local stakeholders to support the program. We invite original equipment manufacturers to talk about their technology, their products, their systems, their innovation for the energy sector. This way, women entrepreneurs get to understand what utilities are procuring from the market. We invite utilities from across the regions. So not only utilities from South Africa, not only utilities from Botswana or Namibia, but we bring the utilities together. I spoke earlier about our relationship with the Southern African Power Pool. The Southern African Power Pool brings on board 14 member utilities. The electricity utilities speak about their project pipeline for the next 3, 5, and 10 years. Utilities are going through a transformation. They are modernizing their operations, they are modernizing their systems, and they are building new assets as they transform and integrate clean, affordable energy sources. They are diversifying their energy mix, and that translates into specific operational projects, system-based projects, and generation projects. So they come and speak to our women about those projects. We invite project developers. Project developers talk about the projects they are working on. They talk about their localization strategy, how they are working with local companies in a market to develop projects. They talk about the competencies that are required to deliver energy projects successfully. We invite legal firms that are active in the energy sector. They talk about the services that they offer in the energy sector. We invite independent power producers who are active in all forms of renewable energy, in waste to energy, in hydro energy, in solar energy, including nuclear energy, in wind energy. So they talk about those value chains in detail. So women entrepreneurs who are interested to participate in the energy space get the opportunity to receive credible market information about the value chains of different forms of renewable energy, about different product systems and equipment that are produced by different international original equipment manufacturers, about the legalities of trading in energy and the projects that utilities are planning. This empowers women with credible information for them to choose which area of the energy sector they wish to participate in. They can partner with OEMs, they can partner with each other and form consortiums. They can register with utilities as service providers and position themselves to participate in the energy space. We invite finance houses, angel investors, private equity firms, venture capitalists to come and present they are financing products for energy projects in that particular market, and what they expect from
about the profile of the woman, yani future entrepreneurs, your members and the women you are reaching out. Are they all from engineering disciplines, or they are mixed, or did they have any work experience in the energy fields? Or, I mean, you know, how you're reaching out to that network, and the, you know, who is really interested in to be an entrepreneur in the energy business in Africa case?
Entrepreneurs come from different backgrounds. Some of them are qualified engineers. Some of them are qualified in other industries like information technology. Some of them have no background in energy but want to participate in the energy space and are willing to learn and become empowered to participate in the energy space. So the profile is varied. Entrepreneurs can they can enter. If you look at my profile as an example, I started back in 1998 in marketing and communications. Fast forward more than 20 years later, I am in energy. I have transformed throughout the years to work in energy. It requires personal commitment. It requires the willingness to be humble enough to learn from others.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was still speaking about the finance institutions. So they come and present to us what they expect from projects and from those who are seeking finance for them to present a bankable case. And this is how we empower women with sufficient information for them to organize themselves to participate in the energy space. When we look at B, our next pillar, we have partnered with the African Leadership Accelerator. The African Leadership Accelerator is owned by the African Leadership Group. They also own the African Leadership University. They have 5 campuses on the continent. And with them, we are building a tailored 6-month entrepreneurial accelerator for women that will give them the competencies that they require to go out in the market and compete for work together with those who are already advanced. We also have a Dragon's Den built into our accelerator, where women who graduate from the accelerator will present either their business for financing or a project they have identified for financing. So we can pair them with a prospective financier who will walk the journey with them to ensure that they eventually qualify for financing. We then profile graduating women entrepreneurs on our online directory to showcase women entrepreneurs to the world, women entrepreneurs that are active in our market. We partner with different energy and power international events and exhibitions to give women a credible marketing platform for their products and their businesses. Sorry. So in this area, which sustainable development goals are we looking at? We are achieving gender equality by giving the energy sector and any stakeholder participating in the energy sector on the continent a credible program for them to meet their SDG 5 targets.
Yes.
Gender mainstreaming. We are accelerating access to clean, affordable energy by giving women the opportunity to participate in electrification projects. we are creating a platform where women entrepreneurs will create jobs, sustainable jobs for young women coming out of university and the youth in the energy space. So through this program, we are answering the question about access to finance, because we give finance houses the opportunity to educate and empower women entrepreneurs. We give access to skills development through our entrepreneurial accelerator, access to market through our relationships with OEMs, our relationship with independent power producers, our relationships with project developers, our relationships with EPCs, and we give them the opportunity to partner with our women entrepreneurs and empower them to participate in the market. We also look at areas, opportunities where energy intersects with other sectors. The mining sector is a large consumer of power. They are always looking for clean energy solutions, affordable energy solutions, systems to manage their energy consumption. Those are opportunities for women and the youth to look at. The agricultural sector is a need for clean energy solutions. The health sector, transport and mobility. The fourth industrial revolution is bringing opportunities onto our continent as well, as it relates to mobility, electrical vehicles, telecommunications, the education sector, the water sector, and tourism. So this, when we talk about access to market for women, we're not only limiting them to finding opportunities with utilities only. There's energy opportunities in the agriculture sector. They could build a mini grid for a farm. They could build a mini grid for a food processing factory. They can build a photovoltaic panels on a school's roof to provide them with energy.
The key is to be able to produce their own energy, to be independent, to use the renewable energy sources or the other sources on or lying under your feet, you know, either mines or the other sources like geothermal. But yeah, the roadmap looks really strong and really promising, and I believe it is already a working system for you and your network, Bertha. Really, I really appreciate for your hard work and the thinking. It is a really good roadmap and an approach to many different level of women and the young people. So it's not only aiming one, you're aiming to reach out many. So this is very good.
Absolutely. So I've taken, you know, every time when I talk about accessing value chains, a lot of people don't understand what we mean when we talk about women participating in the center of value chains. So I took one value chain to give an example when we talk about access to value chains in Africa. So when we look at the solar energy value chain, upstream, we have the manufacturing phase.
Yes.
There's raw silicon material, there's cell manufacture, there's module assembly, and the balance of system. That is currently being done by specialists.
Yes.
Some of the components African countries are importing from other markets onto the continent. There are entrepreneurial opportunities in that part of the value chain. African women entrepreneurs can become channel partners for manufacturing companies in any market in the world. They can receive training. They can bring their contextual understanding of their market and help international companies to access market in their local space. It's an entrepreneurial opportunity. There is the service place, the project planning phase, area planning, system pre-planning, operational model planning, applying for permissions, financing options, and feasibility studies and planning. That's a consulting entrepreneurial opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Women entrepreneurs can partner with established consulting firms or can establish their own consulting firms to provide these services.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the implementation phase, the construction phase. Civil engineers, female civil engineers can gain opportunities in this space. And so it goes on to the last part of the value chain, where we look at distribution, we look at maintenance and operations. If we don't understand how a value chain, or if we don't understand how a value chain is designed, we don't understand how it operates, we don't understand who the players are in our own markets and internationally. As women entrepreneurs, we will remain behind the curve of participating in the energy space.
Now, I mean, actually, just this week's last Monday, we had another webinar, Bertha, with the owner of the solar power module production facility, Smart Energy. And we discussed with the gentleman about how to integrate and the work opportunities as a blue collar, as a workers of the women participation in the photovoltaic module production. So at now he has in general, 60% of his employees are women. And I think more than half of the percentage are actually working in the production lines as a chief of technicians, and also as a blue collar who is merging, putting together, making the lamps, I don't know in English, but put the microns together. So it is a very niche and very sensitive work. And what the boss, the Halil Bey, is saying, I need to hire women because it's really, delegate. It was really interesting, and we are also planning to make a intensive technical course during the summer with them for blue and white collar workers to motivate the women and young people to be part of the solar model production, let's say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a perfect example on how we can accelerate the participation of women in these value chains. Yeah. So this is another expansion. When I talk about understanding a value chain, we work with experts to expand, to unravel, let's call it, to unravel and expose the value chain so we can understand who the players are in our market. Who is supplying PV cells in South Africa, in Botswana, in Namibia, in Tanzania, in Ghana, in Nigeria? Who are those companies? How are they participating in those local markets? Who are they partnering with in those local markets? What is their enterprise development plan? How do they plan to build capacity and to build skills in those local markets? Because we have to work with international players to build local capacity. Otherwise, opportunities in Africa remain in the hands of international companies without local participants gaining anything in the way of skills development or market participation. So it is a friendly invitation to international participants to work with us to build the capacity of the local capacity in our markets so that we can also promote homegrown innovation. Okay, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? So how do we do this? The question for the webinar is empowering women in energy. How do we empower women in energy practically? How do we do it? So we have a project scope for SMEs. So we partner with either OEMs or service companies, specialist service companies, or independent power producers or EPCs. They carve out a scope in a project that is dedicated to SMMEs that are female-owned, women-owned SMMEs. And they dedicate 30% share, minimum 30% share of that project. When the SMME partners with the OEM or the larger company, they receive on the project training and mentoring, how to build a solar plant, how to build a mini grid, how to operate a solar system, how to operate a wind turbine. They receive on the project training. This is critical because the SMME receives revenue from the project. They are supported by the established firm to deliver on their scope successfully, and they receive training, which means their business will be sustainable going forward. They can go and bid for work independently in the future because they shall have received training. The OEM retains 70% of the scope of the project. So they are able to run a profitable project and still meet their business development targets. They receive on the project business coaching. SMMEs need to learn more than doing the technical work, more than delivering the technical scope. How do I successfully run my business such that it's financially sustainable for the future? How do I build a business development pipeline? How do I recruit the right resources and comply with labor laws? How do I manage my finances? So they receive business coaching. The utility, if the project comes, is within a utility, also receives coaching on how to manage projects and gender mainstreaming in their environment. So the utility itself can achieve its sustainable development goal number 5.
Yes.
The
Gender
SMME
equality, yes.
also gets to participate in our entrepreneurial accelerator for 6 months. But here is the key. When we talk about women empowerment, women also have to take responsibility for their growth, for their skills development. And so we inspire women to invest in their skills development. They pay tuition fee in the entrepreneurial accelerator. It is skin in the game. They pay tuition fee, so they invest in their future. They invest in their future capability to compete successfully in an open market, secure opportunities, and grow a sustainable business. And as AWIP, we manage this 6-part model in partnership with OEMs, with consulting firms that are looking to contribute towards empowering women entrepreneurs in energy on the continent. That we have held, talking about our model, sensitizing women on the opportunities that exist in the energy space. And we've had this in Botswana, in South Africa a number of times, in Zambia, and also we had a session in Istanbul 2 years ago, isn't it? And you can see we had our launch in Zambia with the chairperson of AWIP in Zambia, Ms. Nambula Kachumi. We've also been making presentations in a number of international platforms talking about how our model empowers women to participate in the energy space and also empowers international companies with programs that enable them to build local capacity and still retain their profitability in our local markets.
I wonder, do you have any support from your government in terms of, from Ministry of Energy or Ministry of Education? Or, I mean...
Minister of Energy, definitely we have their support and their endorsement, and they attend our sessions. Minister of Education, no, we don't approach Ministry of Education, but Trade and Industry and Energy and Ministry of Gender is more relevant to our program.
Okay, but because you are not, the projects you are developing, the programs that you are applying is not only for, it's for energy sector, but it reach out many different important topics. So that's why I'm asking. I mean, they should be also following, and they should be also supporting your initiative for sure.
Sure. So we've got a number of partners in the energy space. The Southern African Power Pool is quite important to us because through them we can engage the 14 member utilities in Southern Africa. We are approaching the Eastern African Power Pool and the Western African Power Pool to partner with them as well, so that we can work with their member utilities to support women entrepreneurs in their different markets. These are pictures. You know, when we talk about women, I get so excited when I see these pictures, because when we talk about women participation in energy, a lot of people do not have a picture. A real picture that says it is true, women are working in substations, women are working in transformers. This is a very recent picture that was taken last week.
I understood from the masks they are wearing.
It was taken last week. As you can see, they're wearing masks, as all of us should wear masks, but a substation blew up and they were investigating the fault. These are women working on a substation. It therefore says to us in business, there is no reason why utilities, OEMs, project developers, governments should doubt that women are capable to operate large-scale electricity equipment. And therefore, there's no reason to keep women entrepreneurs in the periphery of the energy value chain, of the energy and power value chain.
Yes, exactly.
And as you can see, these are, the focus. I even ran out of words to describe the picture. I think the picture is worth 1,000 words. Everybody can see for themselves, right? Our achievements to date is we've got country chairpersons in 10 countries. We are in Tanzania with Ms. Irene Kiwia acting as our chairperson, in Zimbabwe with Ms. Irene Adam acting as our chairperson. Both Ms. Kiwia and Adam are advisory board members of AWI. We have Ms. Sarah Mwaya, who is in Kenya. We have Dr. Constance Van Zayden in Swaziland. We have Ms. Mutsalisi Ramukoa in Lesotho, Ms. Habiba Ali in Nigeria, Ms. Nambula Kachumi in Zambia. We have Ms. Gertrude Mitala in Uganda, and Ms. Sahakwe Ntiane in Botswana, and myself as president in South Africa. And we continue to expand to cover all the 22 markets that we want to cover. Our ambition is that there will be strong relationships between women entrepreneurs in Africa and other markets in the globe as we progress electrification and we continue to expand women participation on the continent. What we want to achieve is creating an enabling environment for women entrepreneurs to participate in the full value chain of electricity generation, transmission, and distribution. Empowering women with the right competencies to enable them to take advantage of opportunities in the power and energy sector. Exposing women entrepreneurs to opportunities in the sector and within their markets and beyond we see that women can form a consortium. Women from Namibia and South Africa and Mozambique can form a consortium to pursue an opportunity in Mozambique or in Zambia or in Angola.
Yes.
We want to enable women to access financing for energy projects.
Mm-hmm.
We want to showcase their success. We want to provide credible information and resources. We want to connect women to global corporations so they can become channel partners to Schneider, channel partners to Siemens, channel partners to ABB, channel partners to Atom, channel partners to General Electric, and any other international player should identify women entrepreneurs on our continent to partner with, because we are building a pool of capable, interested, committed women for the sector.
Yes, yes.
Creating efficient networks of entrepreneurs and innovators. Women in renewable energy in Turkey can work with women in energy in Africa, in any country on the continent, to pursue opportunities.
Yes.
And ultimately, enabling women to execute power and energy solutions that are relevant to the needs of their markets and enable them to participate meaningfully and progress universal access to energy on the continent, so we can get rid of energy poverty in the continent and we can see a different phase of the continent.
Yes.
And so a little story about myself is in the journey. We have a consulting energy solutions. So we are both creators and participants in the energy space. We run African Women in Energy and Power as a nonprofit company, and Gen X Theatre as a nonprofit company, and Rito Consulting Services that is delivering our marketing communications services to our organization, to other clients that we serve now, and all of this is under the Rito company of Rito group of companies. And that is my story and my testimony for today.
Thank you very much. Actually, while I've been aware and I've been following your projects, of course, since the beginning, but while you are explaining the models, the plans that you develop and you are applying, each case, each country has the different ways to do to empower women. I believe the problem. I mean it doesn't matter where are you. I mean, even in Norway or in Mexico or in Cape Town or in Istanbul, being a woman in energy sector is something, and we all have the similar challenges against us. I mean, even starting from the trying to find a job. When you get hired as engineer or I don't know something else, then it's always hard to cope with the survive in the men's world. That's for sure. And yeah, by the way, if you have questions, you can write on the chat box, and we can read and answer with Miss Bertha. I mean, instead of raising hand, please write in the chat box. Thank you. And the pardon, sorry.
While we wait for questions.
Yeah.
While we wait, I can just continue to share that earlier questions when you spoke about the profile of women participants is we encourage entrepreneurs that have 6 months to a year's experience as an entrepreneur, so they can produce some kind of financial record for their business, an income statement, to to divert their interest and look at the energy sector as a potential area of business, to diversify their business interest, because there is a plethora of opportunities to be taken advantage of in Africa's energy sector. And the estimation of what will be spent to get Africa to be electrified is in the trillions of dollars. And so for women not to be left behind, look at the energy sector. Do not be intimidated by the technicalities of the sector. We are here to expose you to the right information. The program will give you the right competencies. You will build the right networks, but you need to have the resilience to stick with the program. You need to have the humility to learn basic things and to take yourself through the journey of discovering things that you didn't know and feeling incompetent, because to be great, you have to start somewhere. It's like planting a seed. You plant a seed, it rots, it germinates, and something great comes out of it. And that is the message of encouragement I can give to anyone who is curious about the energy sector and would like to learn more. Invest time to read about the energy sector and understand how the value chains work, or even understand the components of the value chain, so that you know who the players are, who the suppliers are, and who is procuring what in the energy sector.
Yes, exactly. That is very crucial. I mean, to understand the whole sector, you have to be well furnished. You have some level of understanding and know-how. As you said, the supply chain, the manufacturers, investors, the financiers, what kind of jobs, what kind of positions open, possible, and a woman and a young person can develop themselves to make this to attend, to participate to the possible jobs and etc. And next Monday we will have the human resource manager of TPI, the American brand which produces tower blades actually, and they have 2 big factories in Turkey, in Aegean area, and we will be hosting the HR manager of the factory to discuss about the opportunity for a woman, again blue collar woman and also white collar, in the blade manufacturing. So at the same time we all learning details of the supply chain, and we are figuring it out how we can contribute, and the youngcomers, young technicians, young engineers, or other discipline graduates, sisters, how they can develop themselves, with which information they are able to participate to new job, to find the jobs, etc. So this is very, crucial. There are some comments for you, Bertha. Let me read from the chat box, okay? Segakwenk, I hope I'm reading right. I commend this opportunity for networking. This is how we build a voice strong enough to reach the political space, influencers and decision makers. Yes, thank you very much. We agree. Dr. Figan says it's a great presentation. And also Laura Lepore says it's awesome presentation, Bertha. And one of my colleagues, Idil, she also really impressed with the picture of the ladies working in the substation. It is really, really, really good picture, Bertha. Okay, thank you. And also, I have a question for you. Yeah, you make your roadmaps, and you are doing, and you are applying as much as possible. But in general, what would be your suggestion to the lawmakers and also the employers of the energy sector? What will be your suggestion? How they can empower women, Bertha?
So let's tackle one question at a time. So we're talking about gender mainstreaming in corporates, in energy corporates. The first is to have a very clear policy, a clear recruitment strategy that you would be, one, focusing on graduates, electrical engineers, female electrical engineers, that you will mentor, support through their academic life into your corporate. That's one. So now they're in the corporate. In the corporate, you have to set policies that support women participation. And these policies include clear policies on going on maternity without losing the pace of your career path, without being sidelined for projects, without being ignored for promotions. Number two, it's policies around policies that truly accommodate women participation in all levels of the corporates. You look at your junior management, middle management, senior management, you look at executive level, and don't look at, I would say corporates should not look at gender mainstreaming as a social issue. They should look at gender mainstreaming as a diversity management policy. Innovative ideas come from diversity. The more people and the more perspectives you have around a market, the more you have chances of being competitive. So a clear gender mainstreaming policy, and there's a lot of instruments that have been published on how corporates can execute gender mainstreaming in their environment. When we talk about gender mainstreaming, there are nuances to gender mainstreaming that corporates can educate themselves about to have a totally inclusive environment that ensures that they derive benefits from everybody who is on their book. So that is with corporates. You can also have a committee that is dedicated at managing and supporting senior management in their execution of gender mainstreaming, from recruitment to retention. And those two goes hand in glove. So that is in the corporate. In the market, there are a number of policies. If you look at what Kenya has done, for example, they have already published their gender mainstreaming policy that demands that all sectors look at accommodating, empowering, and supporting women entrepreneurs. And so it is up to each country's policy, each country's economic policies, routes to ensure that gender mainstreaming is not a side issue, but it's at the core of economic development. And it's not an afterthought, but it's at the core of seeking ways for a country to be competitive. Women present a capacity that can be absorbed into the labor market, and they can be just as productive. So you need to have clear policy guidelines on economic development that includes the youth, that includes women, that includes people living with disabilities, that includes retired people that still want to contribute and be active in the market.
Yeah, I would like to also give an example, a real case study, Bertha, and the dear listeners. We had the first gender loan of the world, all over the world, Last May, just 1 year ago, Garanti BBVA Bank is signed the term sheet with the TWRE Energy, which is the biggest wind farm operator in Turkey, for the extension of a operating wind farm, which is, I am also a technical consultant, Soma wind energy farm, for the extension part of 48 megawatt. The term sheet for the finance, project finance, was called as gender loan because it is measuring the performance of the borrower, the investor, about hiring women, also the rate of the after maternity return, the really gender equal environment at work, and etc. etc. Many details and must topics is covered under this term sheet. And now today all the additional capacity is finished. It is now under operation, and we will continue to check whether the investor will keep his promise to hire women and to keep the women continue to work for them. If they achieve, then the bank will reduce the percentage of the loan, the money, I mean the loan itself. So that is a really promising motivation and really good model that I think all of the countries and in general the global banks should be, I mean, investing deeply and making the model for their own countries. That is called gender loan.
Great stuff. Really great. There's a lot of programs. I think Power Africa is also championing a lot of dedicated gender mainstreaming programs for the energy utility sector, ensuring gender mainstreaming within utilities and providing tools to enable utilities to implement gender mainstreaming. And supporting women participation in the energy sector or in business in general through access to finance is a commitment that a lot of financing institutions have. However, they are businesses that need to ensure or to manage the risk that is associated with energy projects. And so our commitment is to ensure that women entrepreneurs understand what financing institutions are looking for so they can best position themselves and prepare themselves to qualify for financing.
I am now checking the chat box again, Bertha. Stephanie is saying that, dear Bertha and colleagues, thank you for organizing this insightful dialogue. I would be keen to engage more on women's participation in the energy policy sector, as women are usually integrated in policy making much later on after most of the important decisions have been made without their collaboration. Yet they are the most heavily impacted by these energy policies. And as you have mentioned before, women account for approximately 48% of the entrepreneurs in this content. Yes, I agree with Stephanie.
It is true. Yeah, it is true.
It is very true. Yeah. We are now. Well, I am making some very high-level speeches these days, saying that we should have the Ministry of Energy, woman Ministry of Energy in Turkey soon. I don't know how soon, but soon, because yes, it's not only the importance to make the policy, but it's important to be part of while in Parliament, while in ministries they are making it. So it is really important. I can turn on my video then. Hello everyone again. And yes, I mean, this is the only way to get us more involved, to be part of the lawmakers, to be part of the municipalities, the local governments, and villages and everything. And we have in Turkey, we have many academicians, women academicians, and also really, believe me, now we have thousands of energy system engineers, girls graduated and looking for jobs, and they don't really they are not in the position to choose, oh, I want to sit in the office, or I don't want to go on site. They are all keen on, they're all motivated, and they would like to prove themselves that I can do anything as another man engineer can do. So now we are trying to break the prejudice of the human resource managers, mostly are women, try to not to hire girls and the young women and the girls into engineering or technician position, but they should be giving the same opportunity when they're hiring or when they're evaluating two CVs, one man and one woman. They should give the same opportunity, and they should be able to read the personality and the ambitions in this people who is applying for the jobs. I am also, there are also some more comments I can read if you like. Gertrude's Hope. Thank you all who have turned up today to support AWEAP. I'm signing out now. It has been great connection with you all. Thank you for the participation. Feraye, our friend who put us together, actually connect us together, the general manager, former general manager of PowerGen, and now the general manager of the sectoral fair company. Hello, dear Bertha. Through Africa window, when you look at Turkey, how do you see Turkey in terms of women employment? Can you make a comparison, as you have been in Turkey many times? She asked.
Oh, that's a difficult question to answer. I haven't done a comparative study between Turkey and South Africa, or between Turkey and a number of countries in South Africa. The women employment rate across Africa is different. We've got 54 countries that will have different trends and different laws, and they would progress differently. In South Africa, we are improving. A lot of corporates take diversity and inclusion and gender mainstreaming seriously. I really believe in literature review. I believe every opinion should be backed by some kind of researched empirical data. And I have not done research on the Turkish employment market to see what the level of female employment is in order to have an opinion on its progress versus that of South Africa.
I can give you some figures. We made some small analysis over our members' profiles, Bertha. Over 1,000 members, only 1.5 percentage of this number is the entrepreneur or C-level woman. The about the 35-38 percent are in really doing engineering, but actually 75% of our members are engineers. So which showing that although they want to work as how they studied to do an engineering business, or to really doing in the brain part of the work, they couldn't find job, or the employers prefers to give the job to men. I mean, the technical jobs I'm talking about. So what we are trying to also, as a Turkish woman in renewables and energy, firstly and most importantly, we are trying to make more engineers and more technicians participate into the energy sector as a woman, brain and the workforce, and also to increase the level of this minimum, this 1.5% of entrepreneurs should be go up to 10 or 20% in coming years, because it was also very shocking figures for me, because I am an entrepreneur myself and I'm running my own company for many years, and I and the friends and my advisory board, most of our, like yourself, has their own companies. I was thinking that there are more women have the empowerment, have the motivation to do it, so, but unfortunately it is not. And your position, my position, and our initiatives, our associations is at the key point to motivate the women, to open them new doors, like you have been doing very well and very wisely, to motivate them, to make them believe themselves first, and then to show them the correct way, the right path to go, so they can do their own businesses, and they can also then employ the other women and young people as well.
That's really great. That's really great.
Yes, Sunny. If you like anything to add, please add. Then, if it's okay, we can slowly closing the session.
So what I could add is, if anyone wants to get hold of us, wants to collaborate with us, it's not only the South African market that we focus on, but we are focusing on 22 markets. We've already established 10 chairpersons in 10 of those markets. OEMs, technology companies that wish to participate in the African market and would like to build relationships with credible women entrepreneurs, we are happy to facilitate such relationships. The benefit for us is ensuring that women entrepreneurs gain access to opportunities through their relationships with OEMs as channel partners. Mm-hmm. And so we will be happy to continue the conversation with those who are interested to partner with us on the program. I see there are a number of South Africans that have joined, and I'm quite grateful for the support. Yes. And I hope they enjoyed the testimony and the mission of the organization. We are indeed creators of opportunities and participants in the opportunities that we create. So we are positioning ourselves also to be a testimony as women entrepreneurs in energy. And I've received a lot of texts on the side to show the women on the substation again. So I'm going to share my screen for the last time as my parting shot.
Please. And dear participant, we will be emailing you Bertha's presentation and her communication details after the session, and we will also upload this whole program onto our YouTube channel, Turkish Women in Renewables and Energy. So you can also share Bertha's very insightful presentation in your network as well. Yes.
Great. So this is the picture that truly shows women working on a substation as part of proof that gender mainstreaming is really possible, not only in the periphery of the industry, but in the center of the value chains. And when we look at and when we talk about gender mainstreaming, we should truly investigate our value chains, and we should truly investigate those that are owning those parts of the value chains and inspire them and implore them to partner with local entrepreneurs and to support local entrepreneurs through targeted training programs, because we do have the capability to really rise up to the challenge and deliver excellent service.
Yes, exactly. Totally agree. You have our full support. We should be creating more sister projects, apply more collaborations in between Turkish and the African women working in the energy fields. Thank you very much for your time, dear Bertha. It's always good to hear you. It's always good to know your ideas. Thank you for the participants. And if it's okay, I can finish the webinar. That's all right.
I think to also thank you, Sedef. I think what our those who have joined the webinar should understand is the Turkish Women in Renewable Energy is formed on a similar basis as AWIP, in that we finance personally the activities of our nonprofit organizations.
Yes, that is a volunteer base. Yes.
Yes, while we apply for support from different parties. So I have received questions from other stakeholders wanting to know who is behind our organization and who's financing it. This is personal investment from entrepreneurs that see the opportunity to encourage participation in the energy sector, not in obvious opportunities, but in the main value chains, and to support women and youth participation, including people living with disabilities. Mm-hmm. It's a personal mission. We're creating a movement, and we are sure that we will find financial supporters for what we are delivering.
In Turkey perspective, I would like to answer. When I decided to build up this initiative 2 years ago, there are many associations. Some of them established by the government, Ministry of Energy, 20 to 30 years ago, and with the membership fees and everything. But it is much more like industrial, and they were very, very slowly moving, and nobody is touching about the women empowerment and the women employment and the gender and inequality in the energy sector. And because I am also self-made entrepreneur like Bertha herself, and I decided to do something about it, and I wanted to build up a network for all the women who is working and who would like to work in the energy sector. It doesn't matter which level, which education, nothing. And I told myself, and I declared it, I'm not collecting any membership fee from any of our members. That will be the volunteering, and our times and our effort will bring us in some level. And it surely did. Now we have the sponsors per projects, and also the big factories, the big companies are getting human resource services from us. So therefore, they have much more feasible shortlist for the employment, and so on. That is how we grown, how we develop. In Turkey, we built a selling team. We attended a race, and we actually won within third prize. And that was the first one. I mean, nobody's done any kind of an achievements or projects in energy sector before. We made the incentive technical program with Nordex. Now Nordex is the most volume selling turbine in Turkey since last 3 years now. And we made the incentive course for the women technicians and engineers to be in the Nordex Academy. We will do the same in the summer again, and we are going to do the Solar Academy in the summer into the smart with the smart solar factory. We are also now design a green building certification trainee with very valuable academician in here Turkey. So that is how we are doing. I mean, in terms of the needs and requirements from our members, we are designing projects like Bertha is doing, and we are finding the sponsors or the partners, and then we continue. But TWRE is a initiative, is a digital platform. I do have my own other business in consultancy, and all of our members, they are working or either looking for work. So that's how we are doing. It is developing, it's moving, and we are good at taking decisions, and we are very fast to make it happen. So yeah, that's it. Thank you, Bertha.
Thank you. Thank you, Sedef. Thank you for your effort.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for your participation. I hope to meet with you in the health days. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye.